Hello and welcome to another episode of Teacher's Corner. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Dyson reputation, Dyson Joint Command reputation. But before we get into that, uh, please remember if you like what you see, click that like and subscribe button. Don't forget you can click that join button to help support the channel in an extra way. Also, if you would really like to support our channel, please consider becoming a patron. The link for the Patreon page is coming up in the top right hand corner of this video right about now. Alright, with all of that aside, then we can keep going here. So we're talking about the Dyson Joint Command. And for those of you that go, hey, but I've heard of this and I know there's a ground battle zone, which we get into later, but I can't get to it because I haven't done the right episode and I really don't like it, don't want to do it. Never fear, there is a workaround which I will tell you about at the end of this video. Alright, so Dyson Joint Command, there are multiple ways to get marks. So you can get marks, and we're looking in the PvP. You can get the Dyson marks by playing either Borg Disconnected, the Breach Advanced, or storming the Spire. You can also get Dyson marks by going to the Dyson Ground Battle Zone. Ground Battle Zone is also good for getting dilithium. It's one of the best dilithium payouts for play in the game. So, great place to be able to go. And again, I will show you how to get there. If you have not done Sphere of Influence and do not want to do it, I will show you the workaround for getting there. Alright, so here's the Dyson Joint Command reputation. There are, of course, 6 tiers, as with all reputations. So for the first tier, Tier 1, we get the traits Deadly Aim and Integrated Nanofibers. The Deadly Aim trait is really good for the ground. It gives increased critical severity as a passive, and that's always a good thing. 16%. In fact, so that is always a good thing to have. And then for our Tier 2, we're on to our space traits. We have Advanced Targeting Systems and Advanced Hull Reinforcement. Again, Advanced Targeting Systems gives us 16% crit severity as a passive, which is always a good thing to have. This is considered a best in slot for the space reputation traits. And then we also have, for Tier 3, we get Active Armor Hardening and Vanquish. Vanquish is a pretty good one for the ground. Okay, and then moving right along, for Tier 4, we get Active Hull Hardening and Tactical Advantage. Tactical Advantage is considered to be one of the better traits available for space reputation traits. And then we have, as our Tier 5, the active reputation trait is Defiance. And when you get low health, you get 29.9% health every 2 seconds for 20 seconds. All damage plus 33% all damage for 20 seconds. And plus 1000 all damage resistance rating for 20 seconds. So in other words, you get a huge amount of, that ain't gonna bother me, a moderate amount of, I'll go kill you, and a moderate amount of, haha, I'm healing. So there you go. Alright, and then of course with Tier 6, you get the rank 2 of all of the ground and space reputation abilities. Alright, now we also have, of course, our gear, which we have Alright, so we have here the Dyson Heavy Combat Armor. This is ground gear, and this has a bunch of different resistances, including physical, kinetic, energy damage, proton damage, which is unique to that, a bunch of knockback resistance rating, and all damage resistance rating to non-flanking damage while crouched. So that is actually unique to this armor. It also gives you plus 10 perception and is part of the Dyson Joint Command 3-piece set. Alright, then we have the personal shield, and this gives you root resistance rating, knockback resistance rating, as well as the maximum shield capacity. And this has a hyper regenerative personal shield, which means it has an extra 280.6 shield regeneration and 25% shield resistance for 10 seconds. It also reduces anti-proton damage to shields by 20%. And there we go. Alright. And then we have the Dyson Experimental Proton Beam. Now this one, it does proton damage, which is kind of unique. It also has a 25% chance on critical to give an extra amount of proton damage versus the Voth. It also has, yeah, and has half of that versus non-Voth. So it will, on critical, it gives you an extra chance to do some extra proton damage. And same thing with the cone attack, the secondary setting. And of course, this is all part of the Dyson Joint Command ground set, which, as we know, has set bonuses. So those set bonuses are for the 2-piece, you get the antipodal synergies, which gives you a passive plus 25 anti-proton damage resistance rating and plus 15% proton weapon damage. So that means that you will do better proton damage, and it reduces proton damage to your shields by 10%. Alright, and for the 3-piece set bonus, you get Hunker Down. Hunker Down is actually quite interesting. It gives you plus 900 all damage bonus resistance rating. However, it immobilizes you. So it immobilizes you completely. So you can't move. You have an immunity knockback, but you can't move. But you do get, for the duration, a huge amount of damage bonus resistance rating. This can come in handy, but generally the inability to move tends to be too much of a downside, in my opinion anyway. So okay, so that is the ground stuff. Now let's take a look at the space stuff here. Okay, ground is gone. Alright, so for the space, we get some interesting things here, especially if you are a Torp user, and we'll get into why this is an interesting rep for torpedoes and for science torpedo boats. Okay, so we have here, of course, the gear. We have the Proton Particle Stabilizer. This gives some weapon power setting, some engine power setting, some electroplasma system flow, or EPS flow, which is good for energy weapons, and it gives 13.1 proton weapon damage, okay, which is unique because the only proton weapon for space is right here, the Dyson proton weapon. This previously was called the experimental weapon. They've renamed it. And so this weapon, this is a bit unique because number one, it only subtracts 5 weapon power to yourself while firing instead of the normal 10 to 12. It also gives some extra proton damage to Voth and to non-Voth. Gives twice as much to Voth. And it can use multiple firing modes. So this can use beam firing modes as well as cannon firing modes. Okay, we'll get into more of that later. Okay, and then we have, as part of this set, the gravimetric Photon Torpedo. And this gives the really interesting thing about the gravimetric is it has a 33% chance upon detonation to create a 1 kilometer radius gravimetric rift for 3 seconds. Now, that is the rift itself is affected by both EPG, exotic particle generator, and control expertise. It does have a pull. Okay, so that is an important thing to remember, that it does have a pull. That's the control expertise part, and the damage is affected by exotic particle generator. It also destroys Voth aceton assimilators or drones, and it reveals cloaked ships. Okay, and those rifts are really great for science boats or science ships. This torpedo is used best as a normally, if you're not a science ship trying to quote unquote cheese the rifts, then you would want to use this as a high yield because it really kicks butt that way. All right. And so those are the 3 weapons for the weapon set. So let's take a look at the bonuses. Alright, for the Protonic Arsenal, the 2-piece bonus is called Arsenal Synergy, and that gives you plus 22.9 photon projectile weapon damage. Now, why is this important? Remember that gravimetric torpedo is a gravimetric photon torpedo. The base of it is photon. So anything that boosts photon weapons is going to boost the base damage of that torpedo. Plus, it gives you a plus 3% critical chance, and it enables the usage of beam array fire at will with the Dyson Proton weapon. The 3-piece set called Particle Stabilizer gives you a passive plus 10% critical chance with photon projectile weapons. Okay, so this isn't an overall. This is only with photon torpedoes. Okay, and that is important because what is the gravimetric torpedo? It's a photon torpedo. Thank you for playing. All right. And then, of course, we have the 10% critical severity, and it enables the usage of cannon rapid fire with the Dyson Proton weapon. So the 3-piece set is actually a good one to have if you're going to go as a full torpedo boat, or if you are looking at possibly going as a science as a side torp boat and you need that crit chance on your torpedo, you could very easily go for the 3-piece set here. Alright, then we have the ship gear, and that's the deflector, the combat engines, and of course, the singularity core, and the warp core, as well as the shield array. All right, so we have here the Dyson deflector array. Now this gives some shield restoration, some hull capacity, some exotic particle generator, and some starship drain expertise. If you're looking to do science, the EPG is okay, but there are deflectors that do better. And if you were looking to do space wizardry, like having a gravity well, for example, this would be lacking control expertise. So I would probably not choose this deflector array for a space wizard gravity well build. Okay, and then, excuse me. All right, then we have, sorry about that little cough there. Then we have the Dyson combat engines. These are your impulse engines, and these give, some shield power settings, engine power settings, and auxiliary power setting, as well as some flight speed and turn rate, and of course impulse flight speed. It's important to note that combat engines do faster when engines are at a low engine power. Okay. Now, to be honest with these engines, they're not bad engines, especially the low engine power. For me, I tend to run with low engine power, but there are usually sets where you can easily slip in the impulse engine to make a 2-piece or a 3-piece for that set, which is going to serve you better. So, and then we have here the stabilizing singularity core and the stabilizing warp core. So for the singularity core, pretty standard as it is for Romulans, plus 5 to 15 shield power based on your singularity charge level. Maximum warp factor 9.97, some EPS, and a reduced cooldown on transwarp, as well as some slipstream speed and impulse expertise to improve your speed and turn rate based on 20% of your starship sector speed skill. And then of course you have the singularity jump, which this improves your singularity jump, and then a shield power buff capacitor. Alright, and then with the warp core, pretty standard for Federation warp core, 7.5 shield power plus 5 maximum shield power, which allows your shield power to go to 130. Maximum warp factor of 9.97, and some EPS system flow, which helps with your power transfer rate. Good for energy weapons. Add 7.5% of your aux power to your shield power as a bonus. So aux to shield. And a reduced cooldown on transwarp, as well as slipstream speed and impulse expertise. So pretty much the same as the singularity core, very minor differences. And then we have, of course, the shield array. So the shield array would help if I hover over the right thing. The shield array has a shield capacity, of course. It has a 10% bleed through, which I'll be honest is not my favorite. And then it has all energy damage to shields, or reduces all energy damage to shields by 10%, reduces anti-proton damage to shields by 20%, and receiving damage while the shield facing is depleted. That is part of my specialization. Alright, and then of course that is it. Okay, so that is all of our gear. Let's check out the set bonuses for the Dyson ship gear. And our set bonuses are, we have 2-piece, 3-piece, and 4-piece set bonuses. The 2-piece set bonus, we have shielded critical systems, and that's 20.3 control expertise and 20.3 drain expertise. So that does improve your control expertise if you're looking at doing a gravity well a little bit. I still say that there are better sets out there that are going to improve things more for you. So I'm not sure I would choose this set. So I wouldn't really choose this set for a science gravity well build. Alright, the 3-piece set bonus, Proton Barrage. This affects your enemies, has a 6-kilometer range, a 90-degree cone, and it has a 1 minute 30-second recharge, and basically it just spews proton damage in a cone in front of you. It has it's guaranteed to strip 1 buff, has a 50% chance to strip a 2nd buff, and a 25% chance to strip a 3rd buff. So you can strip as much as 3 buffs off of your enemies. And then the 4-piece set bonus is reactive shielding, and that reduces damage to shields by 50% for 15 seconds when shield facings are below 50%. So there you go. Alright, it is also important to note that the Proton Barrage will do better if you have higher auxiliary power rating. Alright, so that is our set bonuses as well as our gear. Alright, now I did promise that at the end of this I would show you a workaround for getting to the Dyson ground battle zone. I cannot say enough that the Dyson ground battle zone is one of, if not the best place for farming dilithium in the game. It's quick, it's fast, it's easy. Okay, so now normally to get to the Dyson ground battle zone, you would, hello, I keep forgetting that new thing is there. You would complete Sphere of Influence, and then you would fly up to the gate, and then you would click on the clicking. But say I don't want to do Sphere of Influence. I'm not at Sphere of Influence. I want to do them in order. Blah, blah, blah. But I'm already level 50. Okay, but I want to go to Dyson because I have an endeavor to complete. Or I have, whatever the reason. I want to go to Dyson. Well, fear not. There is an easy way. The easy way is this. Open up your transwarp. Now there's 2 ways you could do this. If you have managed to reach tier 1 on your Dyson reputation, then you have this sphere space allied zone. You click that, it takes you to the other side of the gate. Bada boom, bada bing, you're done. But if you have not done that, let's assume you haven't done any of that. Fear not, you can get there through your fleet spire. If you are not part of a fleet, if your fleet has not completed the thing to have the transwarp for the fleet spire, fear not. You can ask in NOP Nerds of Prey, NOP Public Service channel for an invite to a spire, and they will invite you where you need to go. Okay. So you click on Fleet Dyson Sphere Spire and you transwarp there. Here we go. And we transwarp. And you may go, but Kirby, let it load in. But Kirby, this is not how I get to the Voth ground battle zone. You're right, it's not. But it's one step in the workaround. Now, hit traffic control, and it pulls up all of these options. And you simply click on travel to Allied Sphere Space. And here we go, Allied Sphere Space. Woo! Okay, but I don't have the option to get to the ground battle zone yet. You're right. See to the right. There's the gate we would normally come into. There's the gate we would normally come in. No, I don't want to travel to Fleet Spire. There's the gate we would normally come in. Set a beeline for it. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And speed up a little bit more. Okay, make a beeline for it. And as you get close, there's the Hail Dyson command. See, all these guys are coming in from the Alpha Quadrant or Beta Quadrant. Alright, so I've come in. Now you can see now I have all of these clickies on the right. I have Hail Dyson Joint Command, Ground Battle Zone Shuttle, Return to Taudewa, or Space Battle Zone Contact. I want the Ground Battle Zone Shuttle. That'll take me straight to the Dyson Ground Battle Zone. So I get to choose my officers, etc., etc. Alright, and here I am at the Dyson Ground Battle Zone. No muss, no fuss, and easy to get to. Alright, so that's your workaround, your trick for the week. Tell all your friends. Alright, so this is Teacher Kirby, and we've been going over the Dyson reputation. I hope you've learned something, and I will see you next time.